we were looping into Tarantino there. Do you think that he is using blackness in a way that makes you uncomfortable? So you're like, this is not for me. I can't get into this.
For sure.
Or fetishizing blackness?
Yes, I think he thinks that he knows black people better than he does. I remember during Jackie Brown, it was during the commentary or something, they were playing Natural High when Cam Beer's walking from the jail. And he explained it. He was like, you'll just like, trust me, black people will love this.
He said that?
He said this. He's like, this is a song that like black people just love. Like for romance. I was like, all right, now you're getting a little too comfortable. Like, let's calm down. You've seen Coffee maybe 3 times.
But is he wrong?
That don't mean nothing.
The Touré show. Okay, though. The Touré show. Okay, though.
That might be the best question I've ever been asked.
You're a phenomenal person. I mean, you legendary.
I am a fan of you, my brother.
B.A. Parker was once a film professor at Morgan State University, but now she is a noted podcaster. She's part of the team at Codeswitch, a podcast I love. She worked at This American Life. She worked on a show I love called Nancy. She is an extraordinary person in the podcasting space. I love talking to her about podcasting and all about film. Let's get into it. It's B.A. Parker on Touré Show. A lot of folks know what Codeswitch is.
Yes.
I want you to tell us what Codeswitch is. And if you can you talk about how Codeswitch in your era is different than the Codeswitch we have been listening to before you? I
mean, Codeswitch is a show with National Public Radio that is about race and identity. The key thing that our goal is to focus on race, not racism, because that's
it's different.
It's kind of easy to do.
I mean, sometimes the show is celebratory of blackness or brownness, so it's not always like racism is hard. It's about race includes racism, but it also includes joy.
Yeah, and I think my iteration, I started in July of 2022, and we just recently got a third host, Lori Lizaraga. Our iteration, besides having 3 hosts, but it's allows us to have a wide span of curiosities and ideas.
Okay.
And also, I come from a background of doing radio essays.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that's something that Codeswitch hasn't really done often.
Right.
And with my background from like This American Life and The Cut and a show called Nancy, like being able to...
I listened to Nancy.
Yeah.
I loved Nancy.
Me too. I'm in the... Wait till I tell the Nancy group chat.
I mean, like, it was revelatory for me because it was a new world.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of times the way we program our own media is self-actualization, right? But I don't know how I stumbled onto it. Then I'm like, this is really introducing me to a side of the world that is not mine.
Exactly.
And I love that. And it had a great energy. But I'm like, I'm learning.
Same. As I took great pride in being like their token straight to be to be in the meetings and be like, so what's a dental dam? Like, what is going on? Can someone explain it to me?
Yeah, right.
So it was nice. It was also best job I ever had. Okay. I still think about, like, I'm in the chat every day. Like, I miss y'all so much.
Aww.
But it was also the first time where I didn't have to be, I guess, so much of being a woman of color in spaces is having to be that person to like explain the thing.
You weren't the explainer.
I wasn't the explainer.
You were being explained.
I was being explained too, or I was a thing where I could just shut up. So it was like, this is above your pay grade. It's
fine.
live and let God.
Go for it.
I'll do whatever y'all tell me to do.
It's so liberating to not be the explainer.
Yes. And it was like the first time, like, our hosts were Kathy Tu and Tobin Lowe, two Asian folk. And it was me and Zakia. Like, we were two Black girls. Like, it was the first time where it was like mostly people of color in the space.
Yeah.
And having a discussion. I was like, wow, this season has too many white people in it. We need to, how can we fix that? And then we do. And I'm like, I have an idea. And then I get to make a story about like an underground Black lesbian strip club. Like,
I love that episode. I love that. That might have that sounds like that might have been the one that like introduced me to Nancy.
oh, that's, and then we got canceled right when that came out.
No, it was awesome. So one of the things I like about Codeswitch, because it's tricky when you're just talking, and that's what we're doing on this show. But there's a lot of great podcasts that are doing more than just talking. They're doing that sort of documentary work. And when you guys are diving into that and telling stories that way, I'm really compelled, rather than just two people who are just talking like we are here today.
Yeah, it's great, but it's also like the only way that I know. Like, I don't know how to do this. I know how.
You're doing just fine. What are you talking about?
But I know how to, like, I guess coming from like a film background, like, like how to build an arc, like how to, like, here's the protagonist. What do they want? How do we get to the end of that? Like, I know how to do that.
What are the hurdles?
What are the hurdles?
I teach that to my kids of like, it's always about, here's the central person. They want something. This is in their way.
Yeah.
Right? That's how we evaluate like what's going on.
Yeah, protag, goal, obstacle. Like, you get the thing. But like, yeah, this is new to me. But like the whole building an essay with acts and tracks and all that kind of stuff I can do.
I also talked to them about, there's really, I'm going to forget the number, but I'm going to remember the example. The 4 sorts of stories, right?
Is it man versus man?
Well, a hero goes on a journey. Yeah. Stranger comes to town. Person meets person. Boy meets girl. Traditionally, the person meets person. That's really, and most Hollywood stories are hero goes on a journey. And that journey may be internal. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to leave the place where you are. It could just be, I left the bedroom and got into a fight with my kids in the bathroom. Yeah. But like the hero, that right. And I think most of the time they come out and they're like, okay, that was hero goes on a journey. That was boy meets girl. Sometimes they combine them, those, but most of the time that's it. Stranger comes to town, as far as Hollywood movies, far less often.
My brain just went to Shane. Like, that's
to what?
The movie Shane. It's
okay.
Like from the 1940s. Like,
oh, good
Alan
Lord,
Ladd.
you're before me.
Like, it's like, that's when I think of like a stranger comes to town. That's always like, some drifter who comes to like save.
Well, like, okay, so you were a film professor.
Yeah.
You talk about whiplash, right? You showed that to your kids. That's a hero goes on a journey.
True. And the movie is predominantly like all A plot. It's just like a guy with a goal. He just keeps it moving.
Yeah.
And then at some point, there's literally a car crash, and he still keeps it moving.
See that I found Whiplash somewhat troubling in that I was like, it's very predictable. You are just going for something, and nothing ever stops you. And I'm like, well, that's what is that? And even when you get in a car crash, you just and I'm like, I get the dedication, but.
Yeah. And I had students who were like, oh, he gets it. And I was like, that is not what I wanted y'all to get out of that. Also, these papers are proving that y'all are not like this boy. So maybe we work on this a little bit more. But yeah, like there was like, oh, his dedication, like he's on his grind, like he really gets it. And I'm like, this is a cautionary tale, folks. Cautionary.
Very cautionary. And the teacher's so
abusive.
Yes.
In like a very, like, he should probably have been arrested kind of way.
I mean, you're definitely traumatizing these people. And you can't possibly know, like, you've played that instrument for 1 full second and you're like, stop, you're horrible. Like, whoa. And I was like, does this even communicate through the film of like, do I like this person or do I
don't know. It's like just watching The Bear recently,
where
the
cooking
show on FX, where like everyone is so verbally abusive and so toxic. And all of these chefs are coming out. It's like, this is real. Like, I'm like, how have y'all been functioning this long in this environment? Like, what is going on?
The black woman in The Bear.
Yeah, Aya? Yeah.
Yes. It functions differently than everyone else, right? And she doesn't participate in the trauma bonding or the abuse that's going on, right? Like she exists outside of it and almost is the moral force that is saying to them, hey guys, there's another way.
Yeah. And then there's a one moment where she kind of gets pulled in to the drama and like accidentally, spoiler stabs the guy.
It's fine. It aired a long time ago.
Yeah. But it's just like, she kind of gets lured into the mess and the drama. She's like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I think there's a lot of jobs like that where, I mean, there is like a patriarchal nature to it that like yelling is considered the job. And then you have to be like, that's not how I thrive.
Well, there's been an interesting shift. I think Gen Xers grew up under boomers thinking that may or may not be part of the job and you just got to roll with it.
Yeah.
And millennials, especially the back half millennials, were like, no, I'm not going for that. And I would rather quit than deal with that.
And Gen Z will straight up just quit. They're like, the vibes are off. Like, the vibes are off. You can't do this to me.
So somebody supposedly said they quit with a message that said it's giving slavery. I don't know if that was actually said, but no, and I respect them for saying, I'm not going to quote unquote slave or be disrespected or be traumatized at a job I don't care about. I'll go do something that I actually care about. And I think we as Gen Xers in our 20s, we didn't know that you could say no.
Yeah. And now like, I don't know, as a millennial trying to explain to my mom, she's like, why did you quit your job? And I was like, well, I felt like I was being exploited and I was getting out of there because I was having panic attacks. Do you want me healthy or do you want me crazy? Like, what do you want?
But we were like, you're walking away from the job because it doesn't make you feel good. And you're like, yes.
Like, this is most of my day. Like, I live by myself. If I'm mad at work, and I was working from home. Like, if I'm mad at home.
I can't even go anywhere and get away from it.
I can't even go anywhere. So, like, I need some job that is not going to have me, like, crawling up the walls.
So wait, what is it? You taught Silence of the Lambs to your kids. It's just an extraordinary film on like every level.
It's excellent. It's a wonderful horror film.
Yes.
Even though like we don't treat horror as like a prestige.
That's right.
Genre. But it's just such like a thoughtful exploration. Like the editing in it is fantastic and really
the storytelling.
Yeah.
There's this compelling villain who's horrible, but we do understand, as crazy as I understand, he's just a crazy person who wants to
Yes.
But the whole psychiatry background thing that he's working is like, he's not just a crazy lunatic who wants to just stab everybody. Like, he's brilliant.
He's brilliant. He's only in the movie for like 15 minutes. And he's able to like carry a lot of scenes with just like his essence.
Wait, you're saying Anthony Hopkins is only in the movie for like 15 minutes?
He's not in the movie that much.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while, but like
he's not in the movie that much.
I guess he's doing to me, I'm like, it's the Anthony Hopkins show with Jodie Foster. And you're like, no, it's the Jodie Foster show.
It's the Jodie Foster show. But he's like, that's why Anthony Hopkins is Anthony Hopkins.
Of course.
That you just like, you feel him in all the scenes that he's not in, but you don't see him that often.
Because they're constantly talking about him, but you don't really see that much of him.
Yeah. And I think like the one thing I also teach students, like if you read a script and you have a protagonist or a certain character, look at what all the other characters are saying about them. And then that kind of informs what who that character is. So that a lot of Silence of the Lambs in that script is a lot of people are talking about him. And that builds to what we think of him and how we build up this character in our minds.
My God, to know that this horrific criminal sociopath gets away in the end, and you feel like he's too smart for the authorities to actually hold him longer than he wants to be. It's like, oh, God.
It's so delicious. I love it so much.
There's this guy on TikTok who says he got in trouble. I don't know if he really did, but I want to talk about this with you. He did this whole, I believe he's African, actually from in the continent. And he did this really smart video breaking down Black Panther. And he was really focused on the first one. Mm-hmm. And he's saying, I don't find this inspirational at all. Okay, because Wakanda is not using their power to protect Black and brown people in the diaspora. She's not even in Africa. They are not battling the major enemies of Africa, be it America and Europe, right? They are not, they are literally hiding. And this is Michael Killmonger's argument of like, we shouldn't be hiding. And he's homicidal. But he's like, we shouldn't be hiding.
But he's got some.
But he's the villain in the piece.
He's got some thoughts. He's got some like helpful thoughts.
Oh, he's a great villain. He's a villain. And Nakia is making the same point of like, why are we hiding? What do you think about that notion that, you know, of course, it's a Hollywood movie about a great African nation that is not actually battling the real enemies of Africa?
Okay, it kind of this reminds me of something that you said years ago. No,
you're quoting me. Oh my God!
No, it stuck with me from a long time ago when I was in college. You were on like Book TV or something. You were like on C-SPAN too, or whatever, and you talked about how young Black people tend not to think diasporically.
Ooh, I said that.
You did. It's the fact that it stuck with like my 18-year-old ass, and I was like, first I look up what diasporically meant. And then I was like, I looked at myself, had to do some self-reflection and be like, I am not thinking diasporically.
Okay, good.
So I'm thinking about that and thinking about like that was like the impetus for me to like explore Blackness outside of being like Black and in America. Yes. I think the same can be in reverse where something like Black Panther, where maybe they aren't thinking diaspora. Like they're not thinking about like, you know, there was that meme of like what things that were going on in the world that Wakanda just like turned their backs on. Like,
yes.
Like things about slavery, the whole, like all these things. They're like, you know, protect the civil rights movement. Like Wakanda was like, peace be with you.
Right.
So I think the same could be said like in the vice versa. So to that being said, like the fact that you have Killmonger who is making a lot of sense. That's why he has to,
that's why he has to die. Yeah. That's why he's the villain who has to die.
It's Marvel. It's a military industrial complex. You want like a poor like Black guy to be like, let's fight the man? No.
I mean, the only significant American character is working for the American government. Yeah. And yet we can trust him.
I still don't understand why we still gotta trust him in the second movie too. I'm like,
what? Like that has nothing to do with the actual history of Africa. Forget African America's relationship to the intelligence agencies.
Yeah, I mean, like they made us read this book. Who sat by the door? Like it's like no, they're not your friend.
When you said that horror never gets the respect it deserves. Absolutely true. And that's part of why I think Nope is not getting the Academy Award love that it should. It got a lot of critics. And I think a lot of people understand Jordan as bigger than horror. And it's actually horror light. He's not really doing horror.
Horror light. I don't understand it. I think I was talking to some friends, like we're all sound engineers, and the most excited they've been the whole year were for the movie Tar and the movie Nope. The sound in both of them is extraordinary, and they're like, when you get home, watch it. If you see it again, see it with headphones on, because the sound is incredible. The mix is great. Neither of them are nominated. We're on the short list for sound or nominated for sound.
Okay.
But like the fact that even something as simple as like, sound isn't. No one cares about sound. As they right, as like in the proper way. They're like, if I can hear it, that sound. But like, no, there's a richness to it. And the fact that something like that can be ignored in cinema, like the fact that if you want like horror to be appreciated.
One of the things that's happened is that our film going experience is not always the theater anymore, right? And if you watch it at home, and a lot of times I'm watching on my computer, I think people watch a lot of movies on their computer.
Yeah.
Your sound quality is completely diminished. You have really no sense of the ambition that anyone might have approached sound with.
Yeah.
You go to the theater, you are getting that sonic experience, not at home.
Yeah, I remember seeing like Everything Everywhere All at Once in the theater, and that sound was like washing over me. I was like, ooh, it's extraordinary.
That movie was gorgeous.
I rewatched it for Lunar New Year and sobbed again.
Oh my God. I mean, when they're sitting there as rocks,
I'm crying
just
over
talking,
rocks,
I'm
man.
crying.
Oh.
I'm crying. This is mother and daughter together forever, still kind of bickering, still doing their thing.
But she's still going to go after her. She's still going to go after her daughter. Oh, jeez.
I put everything on a bagel, like everything in the entire universe, like a bagel.
I'm like, I'm not smart enough for this the first go around. And then I'm like, I'm going to watch it again. And then I'm like, okay, now I get it. But also, I think I needed headphones. Like, I needed to, like, there's something that's part of me now. Like, I need headphones. I need subtitles. I need to, like, absorb everything that's happening so that I can, like, follow along and process it in, like, a comfortable way.
What else have you loved recently as far as film?
I mean, again, I did love Tar. This is a terrible way to say that I'm enjoying a film that I have not finished.
Okay.
Since last night.
Okay, that's fine.
I've been watching All Quiet on the Western Front.
Okay.
Which I started before I went to bed, and I was like, ooh, maybe I need to. I'm 45 minutes in, and we gotta wait. It's like 2.5 hours. But again, sounds incredible. Soundtrack in it is pretty great. Like the scoring of it. But it was like I'm really enjoying it compared to my mama loved Top Gun. And I'm just like,
look, I don't have a problem with folks who liked Top Gun. You want to go to the theater and be entertained and eat your popcorn? That's great. No problem. Now, when you say that you want to put Top Gun in a sentence with Tar and
Like
everything, everywhere, all at once, and Nope, now I want to fight you. Right? Because it's not one of the great films of the year. It's not deserving of a Best Picture fucking nomination. This is not a good film, much less a great one.
I think there's always a defense. The defense of is like, it could have been really bad. It could have been worse.
Okay.
But compared to like, you're revisiting something from 36 years ago, it could have been worse. I'm like,
I mean,
right.
sure.
Look at most things.
That doesn't mean that it's one of the best films of the year. That it could have been worse. I mean, yeah, it could have been worse. I thought it was horrible, but
if you want to like galvanize propaganda, sure, just to be like, yeah, we're gonna invade a vague country that we have no name for.
Where were we?
It was hot, then it was cold.
It was somewhere in I assumed it was Russia or something,
Maybe.
but it could have been, I don't know.
That market.
Yeah, we want everybody to love us. I want to talk more about film, but I also want to talk about This American Life, which is one of the great American media institutions, period. Very rarely do they have a bad episode, and quite often it's a great episode. Talk a little bit about what you learned there as a storyteller, as a podcaster.
I mean, it was my first gig in podcasting, which is
Starting at the top.
And I don't know, if I'd known that I had applied for a fellowship while I was teaching, and just on a whim applied for this fellowship and got it. And if I had known that it was so coveted, like I went in completely ignorant of like the difficulties of it, which is what you should do. It was very much like Elle Woods, like, what, is it hard? Like, I just...
What is Harvard hard?
And then it's hard. Like, it's really hard. But what did I learn? I like learning storytelling for the radio. Like, I came from like writing screenplays and doing sketches, and now it was like, it's the radio. You have to like describe stuff to people. Just even that sometimes escapes me. Like, what is a good story? And learning how to really like tell a yarn, and like letting the listener like enjoy what they're hearing, but also like really like you're literally guiding the audience's ear.
Mm-hmm.
And with the sign, like learning what signposts are, like things like that.
The signposts in terms of you're telling the audience, we're going to go left later, or this is a piece of information you should store in your short-term memory for later.
Remember this person's name, or remember this town.
Or things are about to go badly for them.
Yes.
And when you start to direct people on where you're going, they get excited. They kind of feel like, okay, I see where this is going, but I don't know where it's going, but they said it's going to be bad.
Yeah, and that's when you get like what they call the driveway moment, where you park your car in the driveway to finish listening to the story. Because you hooked them.
Because you hooked them, because you told them where you were going.
Yeah.
They feel invested.
Yeah, and they don't want to get out the car because we have one commercial break. And so if it's on the radio, you're going to miss it. But yeah, like learning because I was a fellow, I had to cut the ads for like the promos for every week. So he was happening next week, and I'd have sit with like Ira Glass to be like, all right, there are 3 options in this promo where you would start the music. Where would you start the music? And then I would pick one. He's like, nope, that's not it. And then I'd pick another one. He's like, yep, that's it, and do that. Like even just doing those kind of things, that was my job. It was like, so I was fellowship was like kind of like an internship, but you're also, I can equate it to like Goodwill Hunting, where like you're expected to like do the math equations, but also like mop the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like it's both like you're doing the menial stuff, but you're also like I'm one of the few fellows that got like 3 stories on the air during the fellowship that I had, and now I'm like able to continue being a contributor over the past few years.
That's amazing.
It's great. It's like, I mean, I never imagined that would happen.
There's some blackness in this American world, American life world.
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah.
There's a one brother, what's his name? Neil Drumming?
Neil Drumming, yeah.
Who does fantastic stories. I remember his first story on Ta-Nehisi was amazing. You know, and of course the Nicole Hannah-Jones work is phenomenal, right? I've listened to that. The Problem We All Live With many, many, many times. And the 2 episodes are different in a really interesting way. It's not like she just broke up one story. It's like 2 kind of different stories about the same sort of issue.
Just the school one?
Yeah. I mean, she's all about education and desegregation. And
I mean, with Neil, he was there at the time that I was there, and he was just so, like, for me, aspirational, because his ability to write essays was something that I really just wanted to do. Like what he does with language and building scenes of blackness in this really beautiful, succinct way, I really, really gravitated towards and would listen to his stories and be like, how did he do that? And then I would ask him, and it's like, I think it's like intuitive within him. He can't explain it. But like, so that allows me to figure out how do I want to tell stories? And I learned that like I am funny. So I try to put humor within some really serious stuff, because it's a defense mechanism, as my therapist would say. But it's how I can get through telling a story that is like really heady. If I want to tell a story about, a conflict between some Black and Latino kids and some Jewish adults because they laughed during Schindler's List, you gotta find some kind of humor. Everything's gonna go bad. Or like I'm telling a story about like my dad and my maternal grandmother having dementia. Like you gotta find some kind of humor in that. So that was the greatest lesson, was like finding my voice within this medium and how that like pulls people in. Because I can be dour all day, but trying to find a way to just like kind of like spoonful of sugar it in a way that works for me.
I mean, there's a great freedom in the podcasting world, and you have more latitude if you're doing This American Life, or if you're doing a Codeswitch story, than you might have if you're doing television or movies, where there's this huge financial investment from other people, and they're like, well, you can tell this, but you can't do that. Yeah. And I really love that freedom. Like, just talk about that a little bit and what you love about podcasting, because you left a career to join this industry.
I mean, I was a film professor. I was getting paid less than minimum wage. It wasn't like
Really?
adjuncts don't get paid a thing. And I was teaching 5 courses. I was doing like, it was like a full-time job, but I was still making less than minimum wage. Even just like this fellowship was enough to pay my rent more than what I was doing teaching. I had to like monetarily just like
do
the
something.
amount of like money and work that I was going through.
Yeah.
I wasn't making gas money to get to the schools. But anyway,
No idea.
Yeah, but like with podcasting, I mean, the biggest thing that I didn't realize when I got in is that it's such a one-stop shop where it's like,
You do everything.
yeah, we're taught with like This American Life model. We report it, we write it, we score it, we mix it, we
Edit it.
we get like notes from Ira to be like, make this half a second shorter. Like this music cue is too late. Like we're doing all of that. And so we're taught that. And then, pardon me, I start a new job and I have this in my back pocket to be able to build a story, to be able to be like, even now, just being like, I know what parts of this interview that I liked. I can pull that, put this in here that we call them selects. Like these are the selects of the interview that I like, and we can build around this. And this is the arc I see.
Are there selects from this interview that you want to pull out?
No, I have no. This is all y'all.
No, but it just if you just give us some advice. What do you think the best parts of it?
No, I don't know. I've already talked about her. I've talked about the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, bring
I've
it.
talked about podcasting. I don't know.
Well, maybe hopefully the best is yet to come.
Hopefully. But yeah, we learned so much. And because you're a one-stop shop, and especially during the pandemic, when there were no studios, we started becoming our own sound engineers.
Right.
And it's like me trying to explain to Anita Hill how to use her cell phone to record her voice and then email it to me so that I can cut it up and build a story around it. Like that is kind of that's the job from on my side.
And market it yourself, by the way.
Yeah, and like build ads and then like, promo it. Like you gotta, it's like everything. And then like a company will be like, the downloads are down. You gotta promote it more. And I'm like, I'm doing the best I can. I'm just a girl with like 3,000 Twitter followers. What do you want from me?
I wonder if Instagram is better for promoting these sort of things than Twitter.
Maybe. I mean,
I don't know.
I'm not. That's why they have those social media directors. Those college students know what's up. They know how to figure out the TikToks to make them like a day in the life.
I mean, as a Gen Xer, we've really had to be humble when you notice the millennials in many cases know a lot more about certain things than we know, right? And like learning from them, learning from Zoomers, like I think the Boomers had a thing of like, we're older, we know more than you. And the Gen Xers have consistently found like the millennials know about technology we don't know about. Yeah. They change the game in certain ways. Like you talking about being the explainer. When I grew up, like you were the explainer. I didn't love that role in school and work, whatever. And millennials would be like, it's not my job to do your work for you. You do your own homework. If you don't understand blackness, go read a book, go watch a doc. I am not here to, and I was like, what, you can say that? Wow.
I mean, I do that in a nicer way. What is that? What is like?
I didn't mean the tone to be attacking. But they're like, I'm protecting my peace. Oh. And like that was a level of black centrism that was deeper than what I thought I'm black centric, but I'm going to stop and explain this to white people. And they're like, no, I don't leave my black. And I'm like, yes, 2 steps up like the poetry slam. I need to be like, y'all, that's what's up. And we didn't realize, or I didn't realize that we could do that. So there's just been a lot of things that were like, and so when you're like, I could see Anita Hill, like if you call me and be like, so I need you to do it. And I'm like, great. How do I get this file off my phone and to you? Because I can't text it to you. So what the, and you're like, well.
I interviewed like an 83-year-old man over, but his grandson helped him because I was like, I need this interview. Like, I'm so sorry. I know that he is doing the best he can.
Oh my God. Hell
like the
yeah.
fact that he is talking to me is like, I'm so appreciative. But like, I need one of y'all.
And the next level is going to be like, there's no buttons, right? I'm just sort of like reaching in the air. Like, what was it? Minority Report, right? And you millennials would be like, hey, Alpha, how do I do this?
I did a live show in October, and they wanted me to take a selfie from the stage. And I got made fun of for being a millennial because I guess I wasn't taking the selfie right.
You didn't hold the camera up properly?
I guess I didn't. But I was like, they're like, you're such a millennial. I'm like, well, damn. I'm just a girl with a shirt. I got a phone.
Look at y'all.
I'm the tallest person in this room.
Look at y'all. See, I support that as the parent of Zoomers, but also millennials have been giving it to us for years and years. Y'all ain't shit. We don't even get Xer. They're like, okay, boomer. To me, I'm not a boomer. Why don't say okay boomer to me? Now you've doubled the insult. But yeah, now millennials are getting, oh, you're such a millennial. I'm like,
now
great.
I had an intern this summer.
Bring it.
Parker, you're thinking from an older person's mindset.
I love it.
I will fight you.
I
You
will
don't understand.
fucking fight you.
I will throw hands. You say this to me.
And that's also very old. We should have a conversation. We should have a sit down and a talk.
Very combative.
And then you call it a powwow, and they're like, "There, you did it again!"
Jeez Louise.
Let me shift back to film. I watched Pulp Fiction again because Questlove had. His birthday was like, I'm going to show 4 movies all day long at this theater in Brooklyn, and like everybody choose one.
When did I miss this?
And Purple Rain was one of them. The Wiz was one of them. Fantasia was one of them.
Ooh.
And the 7:30 was Pulp Fiction. And I'm like, that is the most, let's see where we're going. That was the most rewatchable out of his.
That was the most
to me.
rewatchable.
Well, to me. I mean, I know like Joy Reid went to the Purple Rain. I'm like, I've seen Purple Rain 1,000 times. I love Prince to death. It is not a good movie. There are great moments, but it's not a great movie, right?
I have no right. I used to watch it on VH1 when it would come on all the time. But I remember 3 moments from it. I don't remember the movie. It's like, I don't know.
Such a millennial. Anyway,
oh my God.
What I'm driving toward is Pulp Fiction. Of course, because it was Quest, the room is mostly black people. Not all, but mostly.
But that movie is racial politics.
Well, that's what we're getting at. Every single time somebody said the N-word, and we get the ER and the A N-words in it.
And Quentin says like the hard R.
Quentin. Yes, he does. Black people were like,
How did
they
feel about the Ving Rhames section?
How did who?
How do people feel about the Ving Rhames section where he's getting?
I mean, I don't think people. There was no necessarily audible reaction to that. Like, we know that's happening, but every N-word, people like, and I could make an argument that most of them fit the character.
Okay.
The Jimmy scene where Quentin says it over and over.
Yeah, that's not necessary.
It's not necessary. He has a black wife. He's a black wife.
That was a choice.
He's not saying it in anger.
He's saying it for funsies.
He's saying it for funsies. But I'm also like, he has power in the situation. Yeah. Jules, his powerful friend, right? Who most situations, Jules is like, I got more power than you because I could kick your ass. I could kill you and disappear the body, and nothing would ever happen to me. Yeah. But in this moment, Jules is like basically on bended knee, like, please, Jimmy, save me. Yeah. And so Jimmy can be like, I have so much power over you this moment. I can say the N-word repeatedly, and you're not even going to blink. What are you going to do? Because you fucking need me so much. Yeah. But I didn't really, I got there, but I was also like, but why did you say it over? Maybe if you said it once, You said it. Oh, he said it like 3-4 times.
Let's be honest. That's a lot of.
That's a lot. That's a lot
of Tarantino films that have that.
That's a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's. I mean, is it important to the character? Unclear.
Is it important? Well, I mean, I feel like he thought it was funny. It was off-putting to the Black audience, right?
But he also wants us to like him, which is such a weird, like, you can't have it both ways.
He wants Black people to like him, absolutely. He wants to be at the cookout.
He wants to be at the cookout. He also wants people to say the N-word, and he forgets that he is who he is. And like, that is not...
I don't think he forgets. I think
he doesn't forget. He thinks that...
No, I don't think he thinks he's one of us, but I think that he wants to shock.
Yeah.
He wants to push you. He knows that does it. I mean, there is no other word in the American, let's say, American language that is like that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, it's one of those things where even now as an adult, like I was like a 13-year-old girl who bought the Pulp Fiction box set so I could watch it. Like there's a version that it's like is in chronological order.
Yeah.
Like I like doing things like that. Like I was.
That's far less satisfying, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
Because the editing is part of the genius, and that you wrap around into a circle like that is part of the genius.
It is, but then that means like. I mean, narratively, storytelling wise, does that mean the stories don't hold up? You have to like jigsaw?
Well, if you have to do that, then you have a problem. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he has to do that.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. Being that kid who was like infatuated with Tarantino and then like getting older and like seeing his entire, like I was old enough for my dad to take me to see the Kill Bill movies. So I got to see like a Tarantino film in theaters, you know, and that was exciting. But it was also like, even then there are some racial politics in that. And I'm like, okay, but I didn't have like that language yet. Mm-hmm. And then by the time I was old enough to like see Django, and I'm like, do I trust this man with this material? I don't know, but I'm just gonna lean in because I'm here.
Right.
Sorry. And then like having that with me, I don't know. I can say from my experience from teaching, there's always, because now that I've experienced it as like a young person and now as like a teacher, there's always like the three that the students discover. They discover Tarantino. They discover Charlie Kaufman.
Okay.
And they discover David Fincher.
Okay.
And then they'll just go through those and they're like, Parker, you won't guess what I just saw. I just saw Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind for the first time I've ever seen it. It's incredible. I was like, yeah, I saw it when I was 16.
I saw it when it came out in the theater.
Yeah.
It's
but
great.
he's like, Parker, have you never heard? Have you seen it? Yeah.
Jim Carrey was a huge star. Yeah, we saw it. Yeah, it wasn't an indie.
So it's like, there's that moment. And they have that with Tarantino. And then you read their script because they've been watching Reservoir Dogs over and over and over again. So now they have like this repartee dialogue you got to read through. And I'm like, you ain't Tarantino yet, so we're going to have to figure out what you're trying to say before you do. Like everyone, like they're iconoclasts, but you're allowed to question them.
Can we, you and I, as people who love film, can we have a conversation about Tarantino that doesn't start and end with, but he uses the N-word all the time? Or is
no.
Okay.
I mean, I love Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown's amazing.
Jackie Brown's my favorite.
Okay.
I mean, I was the nerd. I had a Mr. Blonde poster in my dorm room.
Okay.
Like, if you want to bark all day, little doggy, that was I love Mr. Blonde. But I also know that he says, I think he says the N-word. Like, he definitely says a couple.
But wouldn't he?
Yes. I mean, yes. But then it's also like, I don't know. I don't have to.
I feel like Jimmy is the only one who we could be like, Jimmy, what? Like the white people I know who are married to black people, like respect that line, right? Respect blackness, and they would not cross that line. I'm like, would you? But to me, Jackie Brown is awesome.
Yes,
I love Jackie Brown. I think Kill Bill is his best, and I look at
like the entire.
I think
thing?
of them as one because they were separated by Miramax. They were not intended to be two. It is one long story. Now, if you force me, I would say the second one is where it really gets epic.
I don't know.
Right.
The first one's more fun.
The first one is more fun. The first one is an action film.
Yeah, and the second was like a Western.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's also like, okay, I was at a party and a guy tried to explain. Did you see Licorice Pizza?
I watched about half of it and I was like, where are we going? I'm out of here. And I love him
Yeah, I love Paul
as a
Thomas
director.
Anderson.
But I was like, I can't. I don't know where we're going here. Right? If it's been too long where I have no idea where we're going, I'm like, I'm done.
There's a man during the pandemic trying to keep his friends employed. I respect that. But
Is that what we were doing?
that's what we were doing.
But there was a kid who was trying to take a girl out, and
Girl was a 28-year-old woman.
and
That's a different problem. For a different
yes,
thing.
and he's an actor.
Okay, there was this like running gag where a husband is saying speaking in like an offensive Asian accent to his Japanese wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize he doesn't speak Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the joke. That's the only joke. For like it's like 2 beats, like it's 2 separate moments when this happens. And I had a guy unprovoked explain to me why that was necessary for this film. And I was like, I gotta go.
I gotta
There's
go.
stuff happening on this on the balcony that I have more interest in.
Screw you.
But I was just like, there was no reason except for, again, some of the PTA thought it was funny.
Right.
And I was like, but to who? There's always that moment where you realize, I mean, you know when you're not the target audience for a film.
Yeah.
But then there's a moment when you really know you're not the target audience
Yeah,
for a film.
yeah.
And you're like, all right, I guess I'm just going to sit.
I mean, are you we were looping into Tarantino there. Do
Yeah.
you think that he is using blackness in a way that makes you uncomfortable? So you're like, this is not for me. I can't get into this.
For sure.
Or fetishizing blackness?
Yes, I think he thinks that he knows black people better than he does. I remember during Jackie Brown, it was during the commentary or something, they were playing Natural High when Pam Grier's walking from the jail. And he explained it. He was like, you'll just like, trust me, black people will love this.
He said that?
He said this. He's like, this is a song that like black people just love, like for romance. I was like, all right, now you're getting a little too comfortable. Like, let's calm down. You seen Coffee maybe 3 times.
But is he wrong?
That don't mean nothing.
That doesn't mean nothing? I mean, like, that he understands this is a film, this is a song that black people resonate with,
Yes.
an actress black people revere.
Yes.
Being shown to be, he does the Tarantino thing, which he did for Travolta, which he did for, I'm trying to forget the German in Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
He does it for Pam Grier.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I understand it, but there is a difference between, there's like a smugness to it that feels icky. That I have to like wipe off the ick in order to enjoy. Like, next Tarantino film, I'm still going to see it.
Of course.
But I still have that in the back of my brain to be like, oh, he
hasn't made a good one in a minute now. He's on a little bit of a cold streak.
The last one.
The Hated Eight was not good.
Okay. I tried to, he did the smart thing where he broke it down into a series on Netflix. Which didn't, now that was also racist. But it was like he had to endure that in order to like fight in the bar.
So one of the things I love about Django, it's a slavery picture where the central character is free in the first scene.
I love that.
So now I'm not quite living in slavery. Like when you experience a movie, you are having experience, you almost become like I am in this world. And I'm like, I don't want to be in slavery anymore at all.
I also want to be in Tarantino's world of slavery for longer than maybe 5 minutes.
But he's freed right away.
Yeah.
And he's speaking back and fighting back against the institution.
Yeah.
I'm like, that I had Steve McQueen on the show. I told him 12 Years a Slave was an amazing movie. I will never watch it again. I don't want to be in that world again. I would watch Django again because he's not in that world and he's attacking it.
Oh my God, I casually was skimming through and got to Cinemax. And I turned on to 12 Years a Slave. And I was like, oh. And then I stayed for an hour. Oh, we were going through it. That's how I was in the theater. And I was like, oh, Steve, when we making another Widow?
I
love Widows. But
Widows is fun.
Widows is fun.
Yeah,
And,
sure.
Unsympathetic women who are trying to get that money like that.
So wait, Jordan Peele, which is his best to you?
Get Out.
Really?
That's my favorite. Personally, I mean, it's also like you think about Touchstone's films that come their own genre
Sure.
and have like reset, like a cultural reset, and thinking about like how many films have tried to imitate that
Sure.
in the past.
Yeah.
Since 2017.
Yeah.
Like people have tried, like even like what was it? Like Don't Worry, Darling was basically.
No, he's created a genre, you could say, or a
created a genre.
subgenre.
I mean, I think people have tried to profit off that genre and haven't figured out what was in the sauce to make it.
Fair. I kind of feel like Nope surpasses it for me.
Why?
It's a fantastic story. It's a kind of an epic story about, humans' relationship to beasts, be it animals and chimpanzees and aliens, family, the history of cinema. They ultimately are making a movie.
Yeah.
He's the co-star. She's the producer, director. Here's the two cinematographers, the first camera, the second camera. I'm like, they're making a movie. And the alien is the star. Right? The cinematographer says you have to get the star out of his trailer, right? And it's like, we're all scared of the star, but we need him or her, whatever. Okay. And just, I found it to be a more refined use of his extraordinary talent. And which not to say, and I also think that Get Out has a significant problem in that it strives for realness. It's comic, quite often, but it strives for realness. And the original ending was the cops come and he gets arrested and goes to prison. And I'm like, yes.
No, that's not what I'm there for.
That's real. And you got Lil Rel, who is great.
Yeah.
Nothing against Lil Rel. But we get his black friend suddenly shows up and saves him. That is not the way. That is not what happens for black people.
Well, I mean, you get like, you want like, was it Night of the Living Dead, which is like George Romero's original horror film that had like a black protagonist who saves the day. Very end of the movie, he comes out, the cops shoot him. And that's 1969.
Come on.
I'm not trying to do that.
But I'm like, yo, that's what it is. That's real.
Oh, I come here to have a good time. It's a popcorn film, and you want me to leave with like my soul.
Get Out is not a popcorn film.
I find it to be the way that everyone was screaming and galvanized in that theater when I saw it. Like it's a popcorn film. It is a genre film.
It is a genre film. Although, as we said, he's stretching the genre. They told us it was horror. I was like, I don't see horror. I didn't. Truth be told, I was not really that plugged into Key and Peele. So I was like, it took me a long time to get Out. Like when I saw like the 10th, 5-star review, I was like, all right, let me fuck with this. Cause I don't fuck with horror.
I love horror.
But I'm gonna ride with it cause Jordan Peele seems very cool. And it's not horror. It's not horror at all.
It's very much, cause I grew up like as a Twilight.
But it's not a popcorn movie. To me, a popcorn movie is... First of all, it's a movie, not a film, right? There's no popcorn films, right? It's a popcorn movie, right? So like, I go for fun.
I don't want to differentiate that way. I don't know. I don't want to, that's like Top Gun. I don't know.
Top Gun is a popcorn movie.
It's a movie. It's not a film.
It's a movie. It's not a film. A film. Tar is a film. right? Everything, everywhere, all at once is a
Things shown at
film.
BAM are films.
BAM shows films. I love that. That is like the super insidery reference. Like,
the Brooklyn Academy of Music is like a big artsy movie theater in Brooklyn.
they show film. They have Tar showing right now.
Yeah.
The Alamo, which we have like, what, a 5-minute walk away from BAM, they show movies. They also show films. They have a very cinematic undercurrent to them, but you can see films and movies
if you can
there.
get mozzarella sticks, it's a movie.
No, it's not defined as a movie by what the theater is. If I go to see Tar at the Alamo, they'll still serve buffalo wings. They don't serve buffalo wings anymore, which I'm very upset about, but they'll still be a burger. Wow, I think it's, it's an interesting, a friend of mine in Hollywood, we talk about this, and he's very passionate about it, that because there are studios are making fewer films than they did 10, 20 years ago. So it's more tent poles. And Spike was just yelling at somebody. I saw a clip of
I saw that. You're like, if Spielberg is saying it, then that shit is
true. So there's more tent poles. There's more big budget movies that are meant to be entertaining and not that challenging sort of film sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you're really getting either, right, and Scorsese talked about this too, but it's all MCU. Like, that's basically what he was saying. Like, what the fuck? Tarantino said the same thing. Like, it's fine if there was a balance, but there's less and less of a balance. And
there's
it's more
balance. And like, it's with MCU. I enjoy those films.
I do.
But there's so many.
Whoa. You enjoyed those movies.
But what is Black Panther a movie or a film?
Wow. Well played, my sister. Well played. Wow. Okay. Wow. That was good. That was good.
But they make so many.
It's a movie, and it's well constructed, and it's brilliant, but it's a movie. And I want to say, anywhere where 500 people are having a fight, it's a fucking movie. But then I'm like, well, then you saw 1917?
Yeah.
One shot the whole, that's a fucking film.
Kill Bill, movie or film?
That's different. Kill Bill's a film. Tarantino makes films. He makes films that are popular. Like, the popularity doesn't determine that, right? I mean, like, we had this argument in music. Nirvana wasn't pop. It became pop. Britney Spears makes pop. Right? If her album flops, it's still pop. Okay. Right? Nirvana made like highly sophisticated music that became pop, right? Genre music. Okay. I think Tarantino absolutely makes films that are at a level of craftsmanship that is beyond most of what we would see in a given year. If it's popular, that doesn't remove that. He also is funny and makes blood splatter. And so the Midwest will come.
No shade to the Midwest.
No shade. I love you guys.
Golly, we love Chicago. Oh boy, with Peele, what I love is that because I grew up a Twilight Zone kid.
Yes.
And so like the originals would come on Sci-Fi all day.
Yes.
So like all of those, I can see the influence into the things that he's making.
Sure.
And so I think that appeals to me, and that's why I think Us is basically a Twilight Zone movie.
Absolutely.
So it's fine. I don't love Us.
Oh, really?
I think it's fine.
Oh, really? Oh.
Really?
Oh.
Really?
Oh.
I think it's fine.
I mean, I think that Jordan has to be considered one of the greatest filmmakers working, that he's made 3 movies, there's no duds. They're all great films.
Sure.
I don't think Us is just okay. I think Us is fantastic. Some people say, well, there's this problem. They may or may not understand or like the ending. The ending is not necessarily meant to be satisfying.
There you go. You get your unsatisfying ending from Peele with Us.
But it's not that he flinched and gave us what I basically look at as kind of a fake ending that doesn't really comport, right now we're talking about Get Out, doesn't really comport with the rest of the movie. Black people are kind of getting our asses kicked the whole fucking movie, right? Yeah. And Kahlua escapes that, right? Yeah. Even though he's being dragged down and down and down, and he escapes that.
That's inspirational. Why do you want to take away people's hope?
I saw Queen and Slim
I have not seen.
All right, I'm gonna ruin it for you.
Please do. I read the script and I was like, not for me.
Fair. I loved it, and I saw it at a screening where Lena Waithe and Melina were talking afterward.
Mm-hmm.
And people were definitely like, how come they didn't get away? I want to see them get away. I want escapism. And they had mentioned Assata Shakur at least twice earlier, so I thought they're planting seeds for like, oh, we're going to Cuba, and we are going to get away.
I was thinking like Bonnie and Clyde. Of course they get killed.
Well, yeah. I mean, you talk to Lena about it. She's like, of course they get killed. That's Black life. We need to get to the mural. That ends the story, as opposed to they're sipping Mai Tais on the beach in Cuba. And like the story didn't really end because the FBI is not going to stop looking for them. I understood why she's like, that tragedy is real. Mm-hmm. And, you know, also, I mean, you haven't seen it. When the brother is driving them to the airport. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I live in a trailer, but I'm not going to collect $250,000 for finding these Negroes. I'm going to drive them to freedom and never see. I was like,
does that seem honest?
Oh no. I was like, that is a lot of racial solidarity. Like, wow. Like, really? It didn't seem, I was already like, really? He's driving them to freedom versus getting $250,000, which he needs. So when he gave them up, I was like, yeah, no, that makes sense.
That makes sense. I don't know, because I think about the one thing with the Peel films is that afterwards, Russell, we're working on a story about it for Codeswitch.
You're working, great.
But just like this idea, like after Get Out, there was like people trying to like get the secret sauce and figure out how to build this to like imitate that somehow, and it all revolved around like Black horror being like racial trauma, and there was just so much of that, and like it was always made by, this time was like made more likely by white people. Like this is what the audience is what they want. They want Black trauma as horror, and I'm like, no, I want a slasher film. I just want, I want like a fun serial killer. I don't want to have to like hear the N-word to like enjoy my horror. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure this out. Like why? It's like, okay, I have found that within the horror genre, there is like we've ascribed these mores to people. So like with Chucky's like he's like a serial killer who's like murdered children. But he's like a queer ally because his kid's non-binary. So now people are like, Chucky's the best. Like he's also still a serial killer. Or like with Freddy Krueger, literal pedophile murdering teenagers in their sleep. But then they drew the line when he saw like Kelly Rowland was like, oh sweet dark meat. They're like, that's racist. That's wrong, Freddy Krueger. He's been a pedophilic serial killer for 30 years. That's where y'all drew the line. So it's like I don't know. It's like this weird like ebb and flow.
I haven't seen any of the Freddy Kruegers or any of the Chuckies. The furthest I'll go is Scream.
Scream is excellent.
Scream's great. It's a movie. All 5 or 20 of them, whatever they fucking made, they're movies.
There's only 6.
Okay, no shade. They're movies. They're great movies.
Yeah.
And they're fun. Because I don't want to sit in the theater and be scared. And I appreciate the adrenaline rush that people get out of that. Mm-hmm. But I don't want that. The Scream gives you spikes of fear, but there's a campiness to it that I'm like, we're never really that scared.
I gotta say, that's very Gen Xer of you.
Wow. Okay, millennial.
Like, oh, I like the campiness of the horror. That's
well, because I don't want horror. The last straight up horror movie I saw, beside The Menu, which was horrible, was Blair Witch Project.
I've never seen the Blair Witch Project.
You got to see it.
It came out when I was 12, and it happened in Maryland, where I'm from.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to do that.
See, it was the meta nature of it that drew me in. It's supposedly found footage. So the ostensible filmmakers are not the actual filmmakers. The actual filmmakers are in the film trying to figure out what's going on, and eventually whatever happens to them happens. And that part of it I loved, but it is truly scary.
Yeah, I mean, I've only had one horror film traumatize me. I saw The Exorcist when I was 13 in theaters.
Okay, because you were young.
Because I was young, I grew up Baptist. And so it was like a lot of like religious trauma.
Sure.
And it was like watching like a 12-year-old being molested with a crucifix. It was a lot of stuff happening in that. And I like tore up the ticket stub because I thought like the devil was gonna get me. It was I wasn't bright. But
you were.
But I was absolutely terrified. I still haven't seen it as an adult. Because it's like my childhood trauma is like you can't experience that again.
Yeah.
But that's the only horror film that has ever like truly like ruined my day. Everything else I've watched like French horror, which is rough, and like don't do it. Like it's too much. But
you watch like those Saw things.
No, it's like I'm going to rip open this lady's stomach to steal her baby kind of things. The two.
Watch that. What was that one about the human caterpillar? You watched that?
Centipede.
Yeah, you watched
like
that?
3 of them. Yeah. Also bad.
Disgusting.
I
don't want those images in my head. You liked those?
I didn't like it, but I experienced it.
Yeah, you sure did.
I mean,
so would you watch it again?
No.
Okay.
Some things you experience for the experience. Like I saw a movie recently, like Terrifier 2. First of all, a horror film should not be 2.5 hours. And it was just like a guy who was really excited. It was like a killer clown alien. And he's just like murdering people. And it was like people really excited about this because it's like it's camp. The guy's doing all in-camera special effects. Don't write it down. You're not going to see it.
No, I'm not.
But
if folks are listening, as a film professor, as a film lover, let's give them 3 movies that you want all the Black people listening to see.
I mean, personally, my all-time favorite is Crooklyn. I'm a big Crooklyn fan.
Crooklyn is the one we start with?
Crooklyn is the one we start with.
Okay.
That was a lot of judgment in those half a second.
Because thank you, sorry, but thank you, but sorry. I love Spike. I know Spike. That is not highest quality Spike.
What's going to do the right thing? Everyone says do the right thing. Everyone says Malcolm X. Everyone says 25th Hour.
Who the fuck says 25th Hour? That movie is trash.
White people love 25th Hour.
I don't care what they think. I'm Black centric.
I've had to read that was like 25th Hour is the best Spike Lee film of the past 25 years.
The one with Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Bad. It's a great love letter to New York after 9/11.
That to me is bottom quadrant Spike. If there's like 4 quadrants of quality,
that's like She Hate Me.
Absolutely, Chirac. Absolutely, 25th Hour is down there with them.
Agree to disagree, but I like everyone gives them Do the Right Thing. Everyone gives them. I went to the 30th anniversary of Malcolm X at BAM, which was really nice. It was also, I learned that I am a true millennial because I had to be like, this is why some of this stuff is problematic.
In Malcolm X?
No, it was just like.
What was problematic in the film Malcolm X?
No, that wasn't. It wasn't that. It was great in that I got to experience because I was like that 1992 Blackness.
Yeah.
Like in the theater, which is really nice.
Yeah.
I felt like I was like a Cross Colors ad. Like it was like.
Wow.
It was
now
really,
this is what
really
we're doing.
nice.
Okay, millennial.
I swore, like there was a guy that was in New Jack City that was like 2 seats down. I was like, oh my God, he is in New Jack City.
Can't with you.
But there was like
Wesley Snipes is out and about. Like, why are you hating?
I was happy. But there was like, I don't know. There was like everyone stand up and applaud for like all the funders for the film. And he was like, Bill Cosby. And then he's like, I'm gonna say it again, everyone applaud. Bill Cosby. I was like, see now I'm like
let it go.
Let it go. Now I can't even enjoy my popcorn right now.
No.
But we're gonna keep it moving. No. But it was like it showed me like there was this kind of not utopic moment, like in the early 1990s of like pro Blackness that I guess I was too young to experience, but able to kind of like see a microcosm of. Yeah. Sorry. But was also to see like where its limitations were. And that was it was kind of nice to experience because I think so much of like my generation is centered around like identity politics and trying to like define who we are and like and like I'm a womanist, like I can't like things like that, like trying to like I'm intersectional and this is like trying to like do this thing and being like, yeah, some of that stuff sometimes it can be a lot, but it is important to have within me because the older generations may have had, you know, too much of a like umbrella that like I don't know could.
Wow. Okay.
I'm
Thanks.
sorry.
Than's millennial.
I'm sorry.
Great.
But that is to say,
no, you're cool.
I pick like Brooklyn is for me. If I want to pick like,
this is problematic as far as like telling a story.
How so?
I haven't watched it in a minute.
His sister wrote it.
Well, I know, but just as far as the storytelling, it's one of these films that's like, well, that's what happened. And I'm sure that he and his brothers and his sister could be like, that happened, that happened, that happened. Like, it's my memoir. Like, great. But like, is it a great story?
Just enjoy some slice of life, man. It's okay. Because I'll give you some more slice of life. All right. There's a movie called Take a Giant Step. It's from the late 1950s. It stars, I forget the name of the guy. He's saying, I Can See Clearly Now.
Johnny Nash.
Yes.
Right?
But he's like a teenage boy who's placed into the, and he lives in the suburbs, and he's kind of forced to address his blackness in the suburbs.
Yes, Johnny Nash.
Yes, Johnny Nash as like a teenage boy, and like Ruby Dee is in it. And it was like a coming of age story where it's like a generation gap where it was like a discussion of him basically having to be like the parents being like, we brought you to the suburbs and we've created these opportunities for you. This is the life we want. And he's like, I'm the only black person. This is awful. Like this is untenable. He's like trying to have that and the grandmother lives there and she sees it. But it's something that I had never seen discussed in like, especially like in like the mid-century cinema.
Yeah.
And so like Take a Giant Step is a great film for that.
Okay.
What's a third one? Cane River.
Okay.
Love Cane River.
Okay.
Again, saw that bang. No, that's near my house. You gotta do what you gotta do. Cane River is a film that was made in the early 80s, but the filmmaker it was an all black cast, all black crew, which is unheard of in the 80s. And the filmmaker died before he got to finish it.
No.
And then it was like lost in the archives for almost 40 years. And then his son fought to have it preserved, and it's finally released now. And it's such a beautiful portrait of like this black tenderness that, again, like for the early 80s, didn't feel very, from what I used to see, like doesn't feel very common. And I just think of like what we could have had if that had been part of like the black like cinemascape, like going forward. If we had had that in like 1981, that could have like led a different path of like what black cinema can sometimes look like.
Sure.
And so Cane River. So Crooklyn, Take a Giant Step, and Cane River.
Well, I could talk to you all day. I feel like I'm at brunch at Walter's arguing about film and such things. Thank you so much.
I yelled at you a couple times.
No, it's beautiful. It was all love and all beautiful and all intergenerational strife that we've been doing for decades.